So Eduardo Cazap is joining us from Buenos Aires, Argentina, and SLACOM, right? So he'll tell us a little bit about his work. Thanks.
Good morning. I am a medical oncologist working in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And I would like to share with you one of perhaps the main issues from our perspective. Cancer is a global issue. Cancer is a healthcare issue. And actually, the burden of the disease is enormous. 1,300,000 new cases are diagnosed each year all over the world. And also, 250,000 ladies are dying from the disease. So there are a lot of contradictions in our societies because the famous virus of the influenza killed in Argentina less than 200 people, and was in all newspapers, and everybody was aware of that. But it was not a real healthcare problem, and it is very difficult to see in our countries information about breast cancer. So the concept that it is necessary to apply for the world is not based in diagnosis and treatment. The concept is cancer control, that means from the primary prevention, secondary prevention, through diagnosis, treatment, palliative care, end of life. That, as a whole, is the concept of global cancer control. That means that it is necessary to have a strategy for healthy people in prevention, a strategy for the disease, for cure, and a strategy for palliation when the cure is not possible. And as an example, something so simple as morphine access is not available in the majority of the countries in the world. Colombia, that is the big producer of drugs for the world, it is this is true. It is impossible or very difficult for our colleagues to obtain morphine for medical purposes. Something is wrong.
They can go to the corner and buy it.
So there is a vital need, and Martin was very clear in this regard, that research is in the majority of our countries, 95% supported by pharmaceutical companies. This is not intrinsically bad, but it is also very necessary for our populations to have data originated from our populations. Because as you know, the majority of the data in the science and in the medical literature is originated in this country, some countries in Europe, Japan, Australia, and Canada. Which is the role for us of the BCRF? Well, the role of the BCRF for us was the first organization to support independent research in breast cancer in Latin America. And our first project was very simple, was to know the reality. So now, after the first part of our trial, we know patterns of care, we know about the relevance of the disease in 12 countries in the region, we know about time to biopsy, the time to the treatment, and the conclusion of this project was that the diagnosis of treatment of breast cancer in the majority of Latin America is not far from the international standards. But the result was very poor for two key issues, prevention and research. As an example, and for this reason we started the second part of the project, also supported by the BCRF, that is a comparison between the situation and what the governments are doing. And the results are now for publication in the breast. And the last issue is that there is an idea that we think that it is not completely correct, that the cancer problem is mainly a problem of middle income and poor countries. And this is not the truth. In the majority of the countries of the world, access to care is not equal for everybody. Also, this situation is really a priority here in this country. So it is vital to have information for all communities, and also that information, it is not only useful for us, it's useful for the US population, minorities in the US population, minorities in other parts of the world. So we think that for us was for many years impossible to obtain funds for this type of research from pharma companies or governments. So one of really the key issues from our perspective is that now we have funds for independent research that could benefit in a real way our populations and not only extrapolating data from other countries. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Now, one of the themes that Eduardo hit on, and I just want to emphasize this for everybody, is the possibility of collaboration into countries where in some ways sometimes it can actually be easier for us to get research done quickly. And that has to do with access to care and regulatory regulations that may apply in one region of the world and not in another. Often we will collaborate and talk about the possibility of getting drugs or treatments developed in other parts of the world, and the pharmaceutical industry has been doing this for years. So I want to just highlight the fact that a lot of the work that ends up getting done there helps them locally and helps European and Australian and American investigators who can't quite get that done as quickly in their environments.